we meet again at last. The circle is now complete.
What's the world coming to?
Well, you got a problem with what I did, Anthony?
No. Hey, no.
Fucking rat anyways. Whole family's all rats. Would have grew up to be a rat.
Stupid bastard. I can't fucking believe it.
Gee, I'm real sorry your mom blew up, Ricky.
Now you're gonna dig the fucking thing. You're gonna dig the hole. You're gonna do it. I got no fucking line. You're gonna do it.
Yes, I'll take the fucking hole. I don't give a fuck.
I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was pure and simple evil.
Jesus Christ. Mister, you okay in there?
Let's eventually coffee's around here someplace.
Welcome everybody, it is April 21st, 2017. I am Chris, coming to you live from the library with a very special guest, the one and only Mr. Bobby Busher. Hello, Bob.
Hello, Chris. How are you doing today?
I am so good. It's good to have you here. It's your first trip to LA, and you just stumbled upon a podcast. You just walked in.
Yeah. Worst things could have happened.
Yeah, and it is strange because we've never met before, and you just here you are.
Yeah, just in your library.
In the library. The library.
The library.
All right, so we are here on behalf of Cinephellas.com, the only place for all your cinephilic needs. So Bob, being that you're not such a huge film guy, okay, I think that there's a resource that you should check out that will give you some cool information about film, TV, and, you know, because it is overwhelming. You're like, well, what do I get into now?
That's another thing I've noticed.
Right? So I think you should check out the one and only Cinephellas.com. Okay? So you've heard me talk about how great the website is, but it's not just me blowing my own horn, okay? So right now, if you go on, we have some information about Pilgrimage. You'll get to see the trailer for Pilgrimage. It's a film that stars Tom Holland. It comes out August 11th. I think you're going to really like that. You're also going to hear my interview with Luca Nest, who is the writer-director of Nola Circus, and a ton of awesome content. Now, I highly recommend you getting a smartphone, because then you know what you can do? You can follow Cinephellas on Instagram, you can follow Cinephellas on Facebook, and you can get updates. You can get, even subscribe to, email updates. I believe that's a function on here. If it's not, then maybe one day it will be. But anyway, you can get updates on tweets. Right now, as we speak, the Cinephellas gang from the middle of the country is at the Chicago Comic and Entertainment Expo. So if you were there right now, you might even be exchanging direct messages with them. You could even say hello. That'd be awesome.
That's exciting.
That's very exciting,
exciting
right?
News.
So let's get on with the show. Shall we?
Let's do it.
All right, so today we have an excellent, really exciting interview with Alexander Nevsky. So Alexander, who you probably have seen, Bob, in several films, he's relatively new, to the United States. He started out as a bodybuilder in Russia, Soviet Union. He was born in the Soviet Union several years ago. And the inevitable comparisons are to really physical actors like Schwarzenegger, Stallone. Nevsky was also a boxer. But in my interview, it's interesting because he starts to talk a little bit about carving out his own identity. We have a little section on that. But we also dive deeper into the really complex character that is Alexander. So, for instance, did you know he's a member of the Hollywood Foreign Press?
I did not, sir. I did not know that.
I know. So you want to hear him talk a little bit about how that relates to his creative career. And if you listened to my audio narrative that I made when I went to see the Salt and Fire screening, I wrestle a lot with this issue of the critic or journalist versus the creative. And so we kind of pick up on that theme a little bit, and Alexander's thoughts are really interesting. We also talk a little bit about depictions of Russians and Americans in film and why that he wanted to turn that adversarial relationship on its head, and several other really interesting tidbits that make him not only relatable but incredibly likable. And I think that's really going to translate on screen when you see the film Black Rose, which, in case anybody was wondering, hits theaters April 28th, that's 7 days from today, and it will be available on video on demand and DVD May 2nd, 2017. So have a listen to my conversation with Alexander Nevsky, and we will see you on the other side.
Alexander, Christopher, you guys both on?
Cool.
I'm here. Christopher, how are you? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you? Sorry about the connection. I guess we just got cut off.
That's okay. Where are you? I'm in Los Angeles. Where are you? Are you here in LA?
Yep, I'm here in LA as well, in the Franklin Village area.
Good.
Yeah, cool. So do you mind if we jump right into the questions? I know we only have about 10 minutes.
Whatever you say.
Okay.
By the way, I like the name of your website, Cinephellas. It reminds me of my favorite movie, Goodfellas.
Oh yeah, right. That was the founder's favorite movie when they were putting the website together, so it makes sense, right?
Absolutely. Please say hello to him. We have a same favorite movie. Yep.
Yep. Cool. So the first thing I wanted to talk to you a little bit about is, just in reading a lot of your background, there's a lot of comparisons made to actors like Schwarzenegger, Stallone, and those guys. But I wanted to know, how do you, in your career, want to move past those comparisons and really start to carve out a unique identity for yourself?
We have just 10 minutes, so I would like to be short. But,
Yeah.
When I was born, when I was born in, it was still USSR. I was born in 1971, and when I went to school, it was still USSR. But in the end of 80s, when I started to my education at Moscow State University of Management, it was already perestroika. It was thanks to Gorbachev, he changed the country, right? Mm-hmm. And we were able to watch all the movies with Arnold and Stallone. Unfortunately, I pirated the videos, of course, because they never released them officially. But I was very skinny kid, Christopher. When I was in school, I was very skinny. My height was 6'5", and weight was 120 pounds. So I was skinny. But thanks to Stallone, thanks to Rocky, I went to the boxing gym. First, I became a boxer, amateur boxer, and after that, I started bodybuilding. And in the middle of 90s, when I graduated from Moscow State University of Management, I already was 6'6", 350 pounds. I was the biggest bodybuilder in Russia at the time. And of course, for the media, because I got famous over there very fast. Mm-hmm. They created a documentary, kind of like a Russian version of Pumping Iron, Russian version. And basically, I was the main star in 1993, December of 1993. And they put it on TV, 50 million people watched it all over the Soviet Union, and they started to call me Russian Schwarzenegger right away. And I was 20 years old. So, you're absolutely right. It was hard to find my own identity, as you put it. But first of all, it was great, because Arnold still my idol. Stallone is my idol. But it was long before I started to do my own film. And I produced my first film in 2003. It was Moscow Heat. And I think with Moscow Heat, basically I started to be, at least for my audience over there, not just Alexander Nevsky, Russian Schwarzenegger, I became just Alexander Nevsky. So I work hard for that, but it's nothing wrong to have a great idol. Let me put it that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's interesting that you talk about having idols and also the way that you write about film, because maybe some of the fans in America don't know that you're actually a member of the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, correct?
Yes, absolutely. I represent Russia at the Hollywood Foreign Press, yes.
Mm-hmm. And so I was curious about how you go about balancing the roles of the sort of critic and journalist side of your career and the creative side of your career.
You know, my secret is I always had fun, Christopher, because again, when I started bodybuilding, I was skinny, and at the end of the day, I won Mr. Universe 3 times. So it was huge fun to achieve that. When I started speaking about movies, 16 years old, and today I already produced 8 films, and acted in that, and at least in my country, in Russia and in Europe, I'm an established movie star. That was another dream come true. And if we talk about Hollywood, of course, I love Hollywood films, and not just Arnold films or Stallone films. I told you that in the beginning. I love Scorsese, and Goodfellas was my favorite film. Even I loved it even more than Commando on Schwarzenegger. So when I started to represent Russia at the Hollywood Foreign Press in 2002, I was amazed because I started to meet all these people. I met with Scorsese, I met with Spielberg. Of course, I met with Arnold and all other my idols. But for me, just to know how Hollywood works and to be able, like every year, to be part of it, to vote for the Golden Globe Award, which is basically the second one after the Oscars. And if you ask me, it's the first one, But I'm subjective.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, it's unbelievable. And by the way, Golden Globes, I don't know if you attended or not. Yeah, it's a great party also. It's not just a ceremony. It's a great party. Everyone's having fun. That's exactly what I'm doing with my life. I'm having fun with everything I'm doing. And it doesn't matter how hard it is, if you have to still have fun, I think.
Yeah, and I think as a viewer, the Golden Globes always come across as more exciting and interesting than the Oscars anyway.
And trust me, when you're in the room, it's even more exciting because everyone's drinking champagne, having fun, and it's completely different from the Oscars when you just sit there like for 4 hours and you're just watching it. Over there, it's just much more fun.
So for one thing, and kind of looking back at a lot of your films, I noticed this theme of Russians and Americans working together, right? We see that in Red Serpent, Moscow Heat, for example, and then of course in Black Rose. So given our current political climate and the current political climate and a lot of the tensions between Russia and the United States right now, does exploring those tensions, is that something that's interesting to you and that you'd like to do more work on?
To be honest with you, I found perfect timing to release my film about friendship, right?
Yeah.
Perfect timing. It's perfect timing. Everyone tells me that. But if we talk seriously, what I think is important to remember, especially for me and for everyone who making movies or making TV or whatever, we're artists. We're not politicians. We're artists. And as soon as I moved to the United States in 1999, I think they offered me first part in 2000. They wanted me to be part of Battle Dome. It was kind of like American Gladiator TV show, a good TV show. But they wanted me to play like stereotypical Russian bad guy, right? And I couldn't do that. After that, Van Damme, who was one of my idols, he offered me the Order part in the Order. Order was his film with Charlton Heston, with Sheldon Lettich directing. And again, they wanted me to play a bad guy. And Van Damme, he didn't want to attack me. He wanted to help me because I didn't do any movies before that. And I couldn't do that because I don't play bad Russian. I don't want to betray my audience, and I never did that. And second of all, I seriously think that in every time, especially now, we should all go together. We should work against that stereotype. In Russia, I'm against anti-American stereotypes. When I'm on TV and they ask me something like anti-American questions or whatever, I'm telling them that I like America. I love America because it's a great country. When here they ask me about Russia or like they talk to me like anti-Russian things over here on radio or whatever, I'm telling them that I love Russia. And I will never support support any anti-Russian things, and I will never play Russian bad guys. It's very simple explanation. I think that, if you remember World War II, it was Russia and America who won the war. We two most, most strongest nations in the world. We should be friends. And I just hope that stretch time, which we have now, will finish, because it's 21st century, for God's sake. And in my film, of course, it's my choice. In Black Rose, you will check it out. Russians and Americans work together. They're not enemies. They work together. They fight together with evil, not with each other. It's same as in my previous film, and it's in my new film, Maximum Impact, which Andrei Batkoviak directed. Andrei Batkoviak, who directed Doom and Roma Must Die, he's just in post-production right now of my new film. Same thing. Russians and Americans working together. And I just hope, I'm just like a little muscular bridge between our countries. I just hope,
Yeah.
I'm so sorry to cut in. We have time for about one more question.
Okay. Yeah, just in closing on that, I just wanted to say I think it's really positive to have that image on screen because so often in film and TV, we're still resorting back to those Cold War perceptions of the Russian villain, Cool. So for the last question, Yeah, absolutely. For the last question, we'll just skip ahead to the end. I just wanted to know if you had, obviously, right, you're a journalist, you're a writer, you're a director, producer, actor. So for young artists that have ambitions to be as diverse as you in terms of their careers, do you have any advice that you'd like to share with them?
Oh, absolutely. And as a person who also in the movie business and lives in LA, I'm sure you will understand what I'm saying. Because I met and I saw so many talented people here in Los Angeles, so many talented writers, actors, directors, so many talented young people, and they just waiting for their chance. They waiting for the call from the agent. They waiting for someone to give them money for the film or idea for the script or whatever. They just waiting. And my advice is not to wait. Just get out of the apartment and just get what you want. Just try to make it happen yourself. That is my advice. You cannot wait because time flies. You cannot wait. And if I achieve that, big Russian guy with broken English language, if I achieve that, each one of your readers can achieve it too. Just don't wait. Just go and get it. That's my best advice, I think.
That's beautiful. Yeah, we don't realize that we have the power to make all those dreams come true if we just move on it.
Exactly. We all already have it. We shouldn't wait for that or look for that. We already have it inside. Each one of us. I just hope. I just hope your audience will like Black Rose. I hope you will like Black Rose. And I hope all of them will still, fight for their dream. It's really important to do. And thank you. Thank you for talking to me and thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Give my best to your partner who created it. Tell him I love Goodfellas a lot and please take a look at all your readers for me, okay?
All right, I definitely will, and thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule today to talk to me. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you very much. Me too. Thank you.
All right, have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Right? Oh, what did you think of the conversation, Bob?
No, it was an excellent conversation. Very, very probing, very deep, very meaningful, very powerful.
Yeah. Now, did you feel, as an outsider, right, someone who's not typically, interested in hearing what people in Hollywood have to say, did the interview make you think about the creative process or filmmaking any differently?
Well, I think it sort of highlights the very serious thought that goes into the process, that the things he talked about, the relationship of how Americans and Russians are depicted in films, and how when he was offered roles as a Russian, he did not particularly maybe sometimes care for the depictions of the characters, and how he made a conscious thought of how he wants to portray his actors and his fellow Russian depictions of people.
Yeah, and I mean, we didn't talk too much about this in the interview, but well, due to time constraints, of course. But you know, this is Alexander's first directorial job, so he had a lot of control over representation, and you could definitely feel how he was very careful to represent a positive relationship between Americans and Russians in this time of, you know, I mean, let's just face it, it's a little tense. And personally, I'm a little tense right now sitting in this room because you guys at home can't see our good friend Bobby B over here, but he looks exactly like a miniature Vladimir Putin. Any second now, he's going to just grab a pony, take off his shirt, and start cruising down Hollywood Boulevard. So if you're
a beautiful day out for that.
It's a beautiful day out for that. So if you're kind of just walking around, or if you have your camera, look for a miniaturized pony and a miniaturized Vladimir Putin just cruising down towards the Chinese theater. Right? You're going to do that before you leave?
Oh yes, I have, of course.
Of course. And you're also going to grab that smartphone ASAP so you can follow Cinephellas on Instagram.
Tweets.
You're gonna make sure that you follow the latest tweets, like them, and even retweet some, yes?
Oh, of course.
And you're gonna like them on Facebook, right?
Oh, immediately.
Okay, so Bob, I want you to go on there. Your homework assignment is find a piece that you like on Cinephellas, leave a comment, interact, because we, as a group, would love to hear from you, but constructive comments only, okay?
Don't start a diatribe.
No diatribes. All right, Bob. Well, thank you for being here. I'm very excited that you were here to help, even if it was just for a little bit on this opening intro and closing outro of the podcast. I hope that you enjoyed it.
Thank you, Chris. My pleasure.
So if you had one last message to send to the world right now before we sign off, what would it be?
Check out Cinephellas.com.
There, you heard it from the man himself. All right, everybody. Remember, share a movie with someone you love, and I will see you next time.
Let's do it.